All right, get ready, because we're about to do a deep dive today into the world of building inspectors.
Really important stuff, especially if you have an interview coming up, right?
You got it. We're going to help you nail it.
Yeah, think of us as your interview coaches.
Pulling out all the best tips and tricks from RoleCatcher's materials.
Absolutely. Their career guide and all the interview prep they have is awesome.
So, building inspector, it's not just any job.
Yep.
It's a career that has a real impact. You're ensuring safety and quality.
Yeah.
And making sure buildings meet those super important codes.
Right. And RoleCatcher's guide really emphasizes that feeling of responsibility. It's
Yeah.
not just checking off boxes.
Uh-huh.
It's about really understanding why those codes are there,
Right.
how they affect people's lives.
Okay, so let's jump right into it.
Let's do it.
RoleCatcher gave us 10 common interview questions.
Yeah.
We're going to go through them one by one.
Sounds good.
First up, describe your experience in the building inspection field. So that sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But what are they really trying to figure out?
It's not just listing those past jobs. They want to see, your passion for the field.
Right.
You know how your skills have kind of grown and what you've actually done, what you've accomplished?
So if you worked on, I don't know, a huge commercial project or something,
Yeah.
that's something worth mentioning.
Absolutely. Tailor it to the specific job. So if it's residential, focus on homes.
Right.
Smaller scale construction. And that's actually where RoleCatcher's AI can really come in handy.
Okay.
Plug in the job description,
Uh-huh.
put in your CV,
Okay.
and it'll highlight areas where you can kind of tweak your experience
Right.
to match what they're looking for.
All right, next question.
Hmm.
What do you believe are the most important skills for a building inspector?
Ooh.
This is your chance to show off what you know.
It is. So obviously, a keen eye for detail is super important.
Yeah.
But don't forget things like communication, problem solving, even persuasion.
Persuasion. That's interesting.
Right. Like imagine you're on site
Yeah.
and a contractor is cutting corners. You need to be able to explain why that's wrong,
Yeah.
why it matters,
Right.
and persuade them to fix it.
Mhm.
So it's about being a really clear communicator, an
Wait.
advocate for safety.
Gotcha. So it's not just about finding the problems, it's about solving them the right way.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on. How do you keep up to date with changes in building codes and regulations?
That's a good one.
Because, things change all the time.
Right.
So how do you show them you're on top of it?
Be specific.
Okay.
Mention industry publications, professional organizations,
Uh-huh.
even online forums, webinars that you follow.
Yeah.
Show that you're actively learning.
Right, not just, oh yeah, I read some stuff.
Exactly.
Maybe give a specific example.
Yeah,
Like, hey, a recent code update changed how I approach this kind of inspection.
exactly. That shows you're not just reading, you're applying it. Okay, you ready for question 4?
Bring it on.
It's a little trickier.
Okay.
How do you handle conflicts with contractors or building owners during inspections?
All right. Conflict resolution. Got to be ready for that.
Yeah, because things can get a little tense on a job site.
Right, because you never know.
Right.
So how do you navigate that without, things getting crazy?
RoleCatcher suggests the STAR method.
Okay.
So tell a specific story.
Right.
Describe the situation,
Yeah.
the task, the action you took, and the result.
Okay, so for example, you found a major code violation
Yeah.
and the contractor was fighting you on it.
Exactly. And then you explain how you calmly talked about the violation, the consequences,
Right.
and worked with them to find a safe and compliant solution.
Okay.
And you focus on the good result.
Hmm.
Maybe they ended up thanking you for catching it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Turning a potential conflict into, a team effort. Okay, question 5. How do you prioritize your workload when conducting inspections?
All right.
Organization. That's what they're looking for here.
Absolutely. You're going to have tons of projects going at once.
Yeah.
Different deadlines, different complexities.
Right.
Show them you can handle that pressure.
So maybe mentioning some tools or systems.
Yeah.
Project management software, even just a good to-do list, right?
Exactly. Give a specific example,
Uh-huh.
like how you juggled multiple inspections.
Yeah.
All these deadlines. How you figured out which ones were most important and still got everything done right.
Right. Made sure the quality was there.
Yes.
All right. Question 6. This is where things get a little trickier.
Okay.
How do you handle situations where building owners or contractors are non-compliant with building codes and regulations?
Ooh.
That's a minefield.
It is. You need to be firm,
Right.
assertive, but also diplomatic.
Right.
Remember, your goal is public safety.
Yeah.
You're not there to punish them. You want to make sure things are done right.
Right.
So talk about how you know the enforcement process, explain violations clearly, and how you're willing to work with people to find solutions.
Okay, so be the enforcer, but also the kind of educator and collaborator.
Exactly, yeah.
And, this is where RoleCatcher's AI can really help too.
It is.
How so?
It analyzes, responses from actual building inspectors.
Oh, wow.
Who've been there, done that, so you can see how they answered this question.
Yeah.
What words they used, what things they focused on.
So it's like getting a sneak peek.
Exactly.
Into how the pros do it.
Yes.
Okay, question 7. How do you approach inspections of complex or large-scale projects? Okay, that sounds intimidating.
It can be.
Yeah.
These projects have, a million contractors.
Yeah.
Complicated systems.
Yeah.
Higher stakes. If you've got experience with those, show it off.
Right.
If not, just emphasize that you understand how complicated they are. Talk about breaking the project down into manageable pieces.
Right.
Collaborating with different experts.
Yeah.
Super detailed documentation.
So even if you've never tackled a skyscraper yourself,
right,
you can show them you have the right mindset and the skills
exactly
to handle it.
Yep. Show that methodical approach.
Uh-huh.
That you're willing to dig into those details.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
All right, question 8. Here's a curveball. How do you handle situations where there is ambiguity in building codes or regulations?
Oh, good one.
I mean, codes aren't always black and white.
Sure.
There's room for interpretation. They want to see if you can think critically.
Yes.
Do your research, justify your decision.
Exactly.
So walk them through your process.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd look at the relevant codes, the commentaries.
Yeah.
If it's still not clear, I'd talk to senior inspectors, maybe contact the building department, and I'd write everything down carefully. So I'm not just guessing, I'm finding the right answer.
Exactly. It's showing them how you think.
Right. Okay, and, RoleCatcher's AI can help here too, right?
Yes.
By showing how others tackle these tricky scenarios.
Exactly.
Okay, on to question 9. How do you ensure that your inspections are thorough and accurate? This is all about that attention to detail.
It is. Talk about your process.
Okay.
The tools you use. Checklists, documentation, anything that shows your dedication to quality.
And it's okay to mention learning from mistakes, right?
Absolutely. Everyone makes them. It's about what you do after.
Right.
Do you identify them, fix them, and get better?
Right. So maybe you missed something once.
Yeah.
But then you added a new checklist item to make sure it never happens again.
Exactly. Show that continuous improvement mindset.
Okay. Last question in this set. How do you communicate inspection results to building owners and contractors? It's more than just saying you failed.
It is. You need to be clear, professional, and helpful.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher suggests a sandwich approach.
Okay, I like that.
Start with something positive,
Okay.
then deliver the bad news,
Uh-huh.
and end on a good note.
All right, so highlight the good work,
Yes.
explain the violations, and then offer help.
Right.
Express confidence that those issues can be fixed.
Exactly. So even when you're giving bad news, you're building that relationship.
Okay. I like it.
Remember, these are just starting points.
Right.
You'll adjust them to your own experience.
Right.
And the specific job.
But with these tips and RoleCatcher's help, you'll be ready to impress.
Absolutely.
And speaking of RoleCatcher, that AI can be amazing. It can help you tailor your CV.
Yeah.
And even get feedback on your answers to sound more confident.
It's like having a practice interview with an expert.
Yeah, right in your pocket. Okay, ready for some more challenging questions?
I think so. Let's bring them out.
Okay, let's dive into some of the tougher questions now.
All right. Yeah, these are the ones that really put your knowledge to the test.
Exactly. So, first one. How do you stay updated on the latest building codes? We touched on this before, about keeping up with changes, but this feels different somehow.
It is. It's less about just reading stuff.
Yeah.
And more about actively looking for information.
Right.
Showing that passion, that dedication to being on top of things.
So just saying you go to conferences and read journals, that's not going to cut it.
Probably not. They want to see you're going above and beyond.
Okay.
Talk about being part of groups that are making those new codes.
Right.
Or taking special training on the newest construction methods.
That makes sense. It's about taking the initiative.
Exactly.
Okay, imagine this. You're in the interview, and they ask, what happens when a contractor disagrees with you?
Ooh, Yeah.
This is going beyond just like resolving a conflict.
It is. It gets to the heart of being a building inspector.
You're the safety enforcer.
Yeah, you have to be honest and committed to safety above all else.
So what would you actually say?
You could say something like, I always try to communicate openly, understand where they're coming from.
Right.
But at the end of the day, my job is to make sure the building is safe.
Yeah.
If we disagree, I'll explain the problem, why it matters, and we'll find a way to fix it that works for everyone and keeps people safe.
That's a good answer. It shows you're willing to work together, but you're not going to budge on safety.
Exactly.
All right, here's another tricky one. There are ambiguous regulations. How do you navigate those situations?
That is tricky.
Because codes aren't always perfectly clear.
Right.
How do you handle that uncertainty?
They want to see if you can think critically, research things, make a judgment call.
Right.
So lay out your process for them. First, I'd check the code itself.
Okay.
Look for any explanations or guidelines.
Well.
If it's still unclear, I'd talk to senior inspectors.
Yeah.
Or even get an official interpretation from the building department.
Right.
And I would always document everything carefully.
So you're showing them you're thorough. You're not afraid to ask for help.
Exactly. And again, it's about your thought process, not just having the right answer.
Right. Speaking of help, RoleCatcher's AI can be really useful for these kinds of questions.
Absolutely. It's not just for your CV.
Yeah.
It can analyze tons of real interview answers from people who got the job.
So you can see what works.
Yeah, and then it helps you build an answer that fits the specific role you're going for.
So it's like having a secret weapon.
Kind of, yeah. It gives you that extra confidence boost.
Okay, let's tackle another one. How about this? Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult contractor who was cutting corners.
All right, classic behavioral question.
They want to see how you handled a real situation.
Exactly. Use that STAR method again. Situation, task, action, result.
Give them a clear picture.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say you're inspecting a new building. And you find out the contractor is using materials that don't meet fire codes.
Okay, yeah, perfect example. Don't just tell them what happened. Show them what you did.
Right.
Did you issue a stop work order? Did you help them find the right materials?
And what was the outcome?
Yeah. Hopefully they fixed it and the building was safe.
Right.
But even if things didn't go perfectly, highlight what you did right.
Like preventing a hazard, sticking to those safety standards.
Exactly.
Okay, one more. How do you prioritize your inspections when you have multiple projects going on?
Organization is key here.
Because building inspectors are always juggling things.
They are. So talk about your system, whether it's a project management tool or just a good to-do list.
Okay.
Then give them an example. Let's say you had one project needing a final inspection.
Yeah.
Another one needing a preliminary one, all with different deadlines.
Different levels of complexity.
Right. Explain how you figured out which one was most important, how you made sure everything got done right.
And if you use any specific tools, like a calendar or a spreadsheet, mention those.
Absolutely. Show them you've got a system that works.
And here's where RoleCatcher's AI can really shine again.
It can.
It can tailor your answers to specific jobs.
It can. Let's say you're applying for a job focused on commercial buildings. RoleCatcher will look at those job descriptions, see what's important for those roles.
Like the number of people in the building, the type of business, the specific fire risks.
Exactly, and it'll help you build an answer that shows you understand those things.
So it's like having a customized cheat sheet.
In a way, yeah. It takes away the guesswork.
All right, last tough question for this deep dive. Ready?
Hit me with it.
Imagine you find a serious code violation, a real safety risk.
Okay.
The contractor says it's no big deal and refuses to fix it.
Oh, boy.
How do you handle that?
That puts you right in the hot seat.
We have to be firm, but also professional.
Exactly. It's a tough situation, but one you need to be ready for.
So how do you find that balance? How do you stay calm, but also get them to take it seriously?
Remember, your job is to keep people safe. If you think something's dangerous, you can't back down.
Right. You're protecting the people who will use that building.
Exactly. But you don't want to start a fight. You have to stay calm, professional.
So what would you actually say to the contractor?
You could try, look, I understand where you're coming from, but this is a real safety hazard. I can show you the code, explain why it's important.
Okay.
Let's find a way to fix this that works for everyone and keeps the building safe.
You're acknowledging their point of view, but you're not budging on safety.
Right. It's about working together to find the best solution.
And if they still refuse?
Then you might have to take it further. issue a stop work order, contact the building department.
Right. You might even have to take legal action.
It's a big responsibility, but it comes with the job.
It's about understanding the importance of your role.
Exactly, and that's what makes being a building inspector so crucial. You're making sure buildings are safe for everyone.
And RoleCatcher's resources can really help you prepare for those tough situations.
They can. From the career guide to the AI tools, they've got you covered.
Speaking of AI, how does that feedback on your interview answers actually work?
It's pretty cool. You can record yourself answering practice questions.
Okay.
Or type them out. And the AI analyzes it, tells you how clear you are, how well you fit the job requirement.
Just like a personal coach?
In a way, yeah. Available anytime you need it.
All right, we've gone through a lot. What's the main thing you want listeners to remember as they prep for their interviews?
Preparation is key. The more you know about the job, the codes, the company you're interviewing with, the more confident you'll be.
And don't forget about RoleCatcher. Their guide, their AI tools, they can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And practice, practice, practice. The more you practice your answers, the better you'll sound in the real interview.
Great advice. Practice makes perfect.
All right, we've talked a lot about what to say in the interview, but,
Let's switch gears a bit. Remember RoleCatcher's career guide. It's not just about acing the interview. It gives you a real sense of what it's like to actually be a building inspector.
Absolutely. It covers everything, the work environment, the career paths.
Yeah.
Really helpful for getting a feel for the day-to-day.
And speaking of the day-to-day, let's talk about that work environment.
Okay.
You're not always sitting at a desk.
Right. Definitely not. You could be on site one day, climbing scaffolding to check a roof.
Wow.
The next day, you're crawling through a tiny attic.
So, got to be comfortable in all sorts of places.
Yeah.
Ready for some physical challenges?
Exactly. It's a hands-on job. You have to be adaptable.
The career guide also talks about how important communication skills are.
Yeah.
And it's not just about talking to contractors, right?
Right. You're dealing with building owners, architects, engineers, even the public sometimes. You have to communicate clearly with all sorts of people.
And sometimes you got to deliver bad news.
Yeah.
Like when you explain a code violation or have to issue a stop work order.
Definitely that's where diplomacy comes in.
Yeah.
You got to stay professional, even when things get tough.
So it's a balance, right? Being the expert, but also knowing how to work with people.
Exactly. And that's what makes this career so interesting. It's not just about the technical stuff. It's about safety, working together, making a real difference in your community.
I love that. And, it makes me think about how this role might change in the future.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, technology is always evolving. We're seeing drones being used for inspections now.
Right.
AI software that can analyze blueprints for violations.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Do you think all this tech will eventually replace human inspectors?
I don't think so. Technology is a great tool, but it can't replace human judgment.
Yeah.
Inspectors bring critical thinking skills, a deep understanding of the codes, things machines can't replicate.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So maybe the role will become more about overseeing the data, interpreting what the technology finds.
Exactly. Building inspectors might become more like data analysts.
Wow, that's exciting. It's a really interesting time to be getting into this field.
It is. And it's something you can bring up in the interview.
Oh, good point.
Show them you're thinking ahead, that you're ready to embrace these new tools.
Shows you're not just looking for a job, but for a career that you're passionate about.
Absolutely. And passion goes a long way. It can really make you stand out in an interview.
So to wrap things up, what's the most important advice you have for our listener who's getting ready for that building inspector interview?
Be prepared, be confident, and be yourself.
Yeah.
Show them what your skills, your enthusiasm. Let them see why you're the best person for the job.
And of course, don't forget those incredible resources from RoleCatcher.
Absolutely. Their career guide, the AI tools, the interview prep, they can give you a real advantage.
All right, so go out there and ace that interview. You got this. And that's a wrap for today's deep dive into the world of building inspectors.
Good luck.
Remember, we're here to support you every step of the way. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck on your career journey.